Welcome back. So much has happened this week and I'm super excited to get into it. We had our first trial sign up ever, and you'll have to stick around till later in the video to figure out what happened with that. We have our Google blog system set up and running automatically, and I'll show you what's happening with the indexing there. We have Reddit posting happening automatically. We have Pinterest posting happening automatically. We talked with Pinterest reps about running ads. We have our Blue Sky running automatically. And of course, our UGC has been running in the background and getting some clicks. It hasn't worked just yet, but I have some great ideas that I think can revamp it. And we're gonna get into all of that in the video, as well as our analytics, how this week went for us. And I'll give you a little spoiler, it went better than last week, which was a disaster. So if you're new here, my name's Grayson. I'm a developer. I've been a developer for 6 years now, and I've always wanted to build something of my own, but I've had no idea where to start, and I still really don't know where to start, but that's what we're doing in these videos. We're going through the process of zero users, zero MRR, all the way up to hopefully $1,000 a month in MRR, and I'm documenting absolutely everything. So if you want to follow along, hit subscribe, and every week I'll be posting a video that is documenting what I tried that week, how our analytics looked, and getting into what I'm thinking about for the next few weeks. So to start off, our unique impressions were actually down this week. So they went from 154 last week to 119 this week. But our product page views actually went up by quite a bit. So we went from 13 to 24. I'm hoping that that ratio of impressions to page views kind of holds, because that's the number that I'm kind of indexing on as like our best metric. So when people are looking at the app, they click in fairly frequently, it seems like. So I'm holding on to that being one of the best numbers that we have. Our downloads went from 1 to 4, which is a pretty good jump this week. 4's a download number that I'm much more happy with, and I'm much more pumped to see that occur. We actually had a trial start last week. I just hadn't even noticed that it had occurred because I had defaulted to not checking revenue cap, so I didn't notice that number was there. But yeah, we had a trial start last week. The person unfortunately churned after about a few hours and I didn't notice. So we didn't get any money, any subscription revenue from that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach out to that person and see if they have any feedback on the app and any reasons that they churned. And hopefully that will help us kind of kickstart this improvement process, and maybe it makes it so the next person doesn't churn. So another new analytics engine I want to track as well is going to be views to our actual website. We're using that as like another entry point to the top of funnel. We're posting a lot of recipe pages in a lot of places, so we're going to treat that as like another version of impression, sort of. Like, we're not expecting that to translate at any high conversion rate directly to downloads, but it's another way for people to get kind of eyes on the app and what the app can do, and another place for us to make a sales pitch. There's a few different types of pages that we're linking, so I'll show them on the screen. There's the main page, which is like purely a sales motion. If you're on iPhone, it actually brings up the App Store. So like that is immediately a product page view if they go to that page. And then we have recipe cards, which are going to be actual like recipes that you can look at. They're generated automatically, and then we share them out. Those are going to get quite a few clicks, but are a little bit less intent. Like, people are looking for recipes when they're going there and trying to find like specific instructions. So they're not necessarily looking to download an app that like helps them come up with recipes. They're probably just like looking into a recipe. So it's a little bit lower intent, but that's another thing that we're tracking. And that is a funnel that's a lot easier to get people into, because, you know, they're clicking on something that provides them value. Another one is blogs. This is kind of our long-term SEO, AIEO strategy, where we're trying to get this app mentioned when you search Google, mentioned when you search AI. And to do that, we want to make a lot of authoritative posts that are indexed on Google, so that Google sees this as like an app that has a lot of traction, and it knows what the app does really well and can recommend it in specific scenarios where it might be useful, especially with AI. So we're tracking these all kind of differently, and they all kind of have their different numbers. But in total, we have, over the last 28 days, 124 active users. And then over the past 7 days, which is what we'll continue to track week over week, we have 79 active users. Most of those are on the main recipe page, just the recipe BT. I've posted that in a lot of places. I've made some posts on like some app subreddits, so I'm gonna guess a lot of those are from there. A lot of them as well have app spikes around places where I've posted recipes. So you'll see one around, I think it's like black bean tacos. That spike in that recipe correlates really cleanly to when I posted that to Reddit, which makes total sense. You know, you post this, you make this post to Reddit, it gets a bunch of clicks. pretty clean, right? Those are the two kind of pages that have real traffic on them. The other ones are either bots or me, probably me most of the time that are doing them. Those are looking pretty good. We're getting a good amount of traffic with that. A lot of that's coming directly from Reddit, which makes sense. You know, that's a place where you can link directly to your site. So it's really easy for people to just like click and visit your site right away. But I'm pretty happy with those. And a lot of the reason that we're doing some Reddit angles is because of the metrics that we're seeing here. So a lot of our marketing attempts have been to make like viral videos on social media, the user-generated content style of like, I can't believe I found this app stuff. And obviously based on the numbers, that just hasn't been increasing impressions and hasn't been working. And like, we can see that in video views. We're looking at like 10 people finishing each reel. And so that's just not gonna drive significant traffic to our app. So I've been looking into Reddit and making automated systems both on, well, I guess across Reddit, across Pinterest, and across Bluesky to see what I can generate. I have a system now about Reddit, Pinterest, and Bluesky, and I want to talk about all of them. So the ones that are the most boring are Pinterest and Bluesky. We have a fully automated system on both, and all they do is they generate one recipe a day and they post it. And that recipe links directly to RecipeBT. We're seeing some trickle traffic from that. Bluesky appears to be very temporary, like it goes up, people either see it or they don't, and then it's dead. Pinterest appears to be like kind of like a trickle over time, where we're seeing users who are going in and finding older recipes and clicking on those and sharing and like liking those. We have very little engagement on both. Interestingly enough, even though Bluesky is the smallest platform, we actually have the most followers on there. We have 4 followers, which kind of makes sense. I've been posting for like 12 days or so, and it's all been recipes. So it's all been like valuable content to users. And that's another thing I'm learning. People don't tend to interact with and engage with content that doesn't provide them any value. And so if you're just saying like, download my app, like they're not super inclined to engage with that. If you're saying something like, you know, here's a recipe, here's some value, they're gonna engage with that. Now, whether that translates to downloads, I'm not entirely sure. But Reddit is where things are kind of interesting to me. So I created a system of posting on Reddit. It's a 2-part system. So every Tuesday and Thursday, it actually makes a post. And what we're seeing based on, you know, history is that those posts tend to generate quite a few clicks. We're posting across a handful of subreddits, so it doesn't look like we're like spamming any particular subreddit. And we're using my super old Reddit account, so it has a ton of karma built up already. And then what we're also doing in between those days is every day we go and we look across like 4 or 5 subreddits, and we just look for places where it would be relevant to like talk about our app. So if somebody's asking for like, what's your best recipe on bolognese? Like we'll put together a bolognese recipe and we'll put it in the comments there. If people are saying something that's like unrelated and we don't want to provide a recipe, we're also trying to be helpful in general so that we're seen as like a helpful user of the community. And so we're trying to post like 3 to 4 comments that are helpful for every one that we post a recipe link on. Just trying to be really active in those Reddit communities and like build up rapport so that we can, you know, get our link out there and get users to engage that way. So I spoke about our plan with Reddit, Pinterest, Bluesky, all that. So I want to talk about our plan with our blog. Now, the blog is intended to be kind of a long game. If you can get the blog getting some genuine traction and answering specific questions the users are searching, it can get indexed on both Google, and AI can scrape it and look for it and like understand what your app's value proposition is, so that when users are asking very specific questions where your app is the answer, it can recommend it. So what that entails and what my strategy is just to continue posting blog posts. I have it posting 3 blogs a week, and we're just going to continue on that. It's fully automated, so I don't have to touch it, and it's fully geared around a few different things. So it's geared around answering AI's questions and questions that people are asking in general, where my app is the perfect fit. So if you think of things like, what I want a recipe app that actually remembers what I like, that takes into account my preferences, or I want a recipe app that automatically filters out my allergies, or things like that. We want our recipe app to be positioned in a way that Google knows that, and the AIs know, that our recipe app is a solution to those problems. So we're just posting blogs about those with headlines about those, making sure they're indexed on Google correctly. And then we're hoping that that translates slowly in like to just a trickle of users who are coming from both Google and coming from AI. Another thing we're doing is some like long tail things. So we're not like posting recipes, but we're posting like kitchen tips, basically, things like that. Just like blogs so that people can hopefully find, and that is like a sales motion. We're trying a few different angles. I'd love to say that like we know this is working, we have positive signal. We don't. This is a super long process. I think this is gonna be like 3 to 6 months before we hear anything. I even tried to go into ChatGPT and turn off memory and see if I could prompt it to come to like recommending me my app, and it just didn't get there. Hopefully we see that change in the next like 3 to 6 months ish with our posting of these blogs. But that's the ultimate goal of these blogs, is just to get our name out there, just to get comparisons out there, just to get RecipeBT thought of as like a real like player in the space, so that when recommendation time comes, it's considered like one of the relevant ones. Okay, so 2 follow-ups from last video. Last week I had a meeting with Pinterest, and I was gonna let you know how that went. It's basically just a meeting with a salesperson from Pinterest who wants to sell ads on RecipeBT. I talked to them a little bit about the goals and the demographics of Pinterest, and I think it could be a low-cost way of just trying to get more eyes on which message works. So the plan right now is to run a $30 a day campaign on Pinterest for probably 2 weeks maybe, and just like see if we're getting any traction from that. If we are, we extend it to 90 days. I'm hoping that this kind of works out. I think Pinterest is known for having like a low cost per install price, which I think would be really helpful for us so that we could like really assess the rest of our funnel. But I'm making a few ad creatives. We're gonna meet again in a week, so there won't be a lot of follow-ups from this until a while from now, but at some point we'll be able to display results from Pinterest ads. Another follow-up is I put my app in Spanish. I indexed from Mexico to hopefully get more traffic, and that appears to have been a flop. I've seen no additional traffic from Latin American countries. I don't think I've had any sign-ins from those countries. It's okay, we're gonna try swinging and missing, and who knows, maybe that changes in the future and those users start to trickle in later. But as of this week, we really haven't seen any. It's also possible that it's just not ranking yet for those on the App Store. Aware that that's a possibility. We'll check in next week, see if it is. I know ranking can take a bit of time, so changing the localization to Latin America probably takes a bit of time to rank, but we'll see. We'll follow up on that as well. Okay, so what is the plan? Well, our UGC content's like really not working, and that a lot of people say is like their main lever for growth. And so I think I need to reassess my UGC content and try to make that actually like functional. I saw this app, it's called Gainframe, I believe, so I'll put it up here. But basically what they do with their UGC content is they're not doing like the hook and demo reaction video, like the low effort stuff. They're doing like 5 tips for X related to like fitness, right? And I think that translates really well to cooking. Like I could do like 5 tips for cooking, I think why you're messing up your rice or something like that. And I can do the same style. Like I can do like a RecipeBT mascot and just try to like make engaging images that people will hopefully like. So I'm gonna treat those as a trial, see if I can get those to work maybe on social media. I think those are hopefully a better direction. One thing I've noticed is like social media is really hard to get anybody's attention and like action if you're not providing them any value. Like if you're not providing value and just asking for a click, it's not gonna go anywhere, because like you're just like, you want something from them and you're not giving them anything. So hopefully by like giving tips, I can like grow kind of organically a little bit more on social media and get more traction, and hopefully that helps me out. So that's one of the plans. As I said, I'm gonna like reassess my UGC content. We're gonna continue with like the blog. We're gonna see how the Reddit stuff works. So hopefully that continues to get traction. My posts and my links continue to get traction, and we'll see if we can get conversions from that. I also set up some better tracking, so we should be able to see which channels are actually converting people to downloads. And what we can do is, if we see one channel outperforming others, we can like double down on that style of content or that direction. And then obviously like we're looking into running Pinterest ads. I think that's probably won't even be done by next week. So we're not expecting to have those Pinterest ads running or have like an outcome from that, but we will have ads running, and we'll see if that can get us any traction. So overall, this week was a mixed bag. I'm really happy that our impressions to product page views appears to be stabilizing back to what it was, and that appears to be like our best metric still. I really would have hoped our trial converted, but it is what it is. We know a lot of trials are going to churn, but I am really happy that we got our first real trial. Prior to that, it was only my mom signing up by accident. So It's really cool to actually be able to get our first trial, and does feel like that is another step in getting us closer to actually getting our first real subscription. Hopefully that trial will respond to our email and we can get some feedback on that. So I think we have a lot of ways to go. I'm really excited about the direction we're heading, and I really think we're getting very close to getting that first paying subscription. I'll see you next week with all our updates.